Eventually, we're going to learn about the continuous function, but right now, let's just talk about the direct substitution properties. Okay, so direct substitution properties, you can apply the properties for polynomial and rational function, and it's really nice. So pretty much you just directly substitute the values in. So for example, now you have to be careful when it's come to rational, because if I do direct substitution for this one, I'm going to end up with a 0 on the bottom. So I have 2 squared minus 4, and then 2 minus 2. This is 0, right? This is a big no-no. So you want to simplify the function first. So if I simplify the function, this is why we need to master algebra. So you see that x squared minus 4 is x plus 2 times x minus 2. X minus 2 on the bottom, so we can just simplify it, reduce it. So now we use the direct substitution. You get 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, so make sure you simplify first. Okay, so just like the previous problem, if I directly substitute 0 in for h, I'm going to get 0 on the bottom. Okay, therefore we can't do that. So what do we need to do first? You see we have 3 plus h squared. You're going to have to FOIL. So before we take the limit, we're going to have to let's just FOIL first. So I have to simplify this function first. So it's going to be 9 plus 6h plus h squared minus 9 over h. So you can see that we have, and then you simplify h here, so we ended up with 6 plus h. Now we can take the limit. So the limit of the original is going to be limit of 6 plus h as h approaches to 0. So you have just 6 plus 0, which is 6. So the limit is 6. All right. Now, so that's what you have, that's when we have polynomial. What if you don't have polynomial and you have the square root function instead? Okay, so as you can see, same thing. If you do direct substitution, you're going to end up with 0 on the bottom, which is really bad. So we don't want that. Okay. Now, the problem is we have the square root function. So how do we get rid of square root function? Recall from algebra, you want to multiply by its conjugate. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, top and bottom. So limit t goes to 0. And I really hope you remember the conjugate. So the conjugate would be square root of t squared plus 9 plus 3. Okay. So hopefully you remember. So that's a minus, so this one has to be a plus. Once you multiply the top, you have to do the same thing for the bottom. Okay. And hopefully you remember, if you multiply the conjugate, you ended up with a squared minus b squared, right? So for the top, the middle terms cancel out. So we ended up with t squared plus 9 minus 9. 9 is 3 squared on the bottom. I don't have to worry about the bottom because we know that we're going to use direct substitution. Okay. So we ended up with t squared on top t squared on the bottom. So you see that we can simplify it. Okay. Now, definitely we should use substitution for it. Okay. Or you can use the limit law. So we have 1 square root of 9 plus 3, which is 1 over 3 plus 3, which is 1 over 6.